He was called a dictator, a revolutionary, a sponsor of terrorism, a visionary, a madman. For 42 years, Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya, and when he fell in 2011, the world watched the violent collapse of a regime that had defined an entire nation for generations. But who was he really? Muammar Gaddafi was born in 1942 in a Bedouin family in the Libyan desert. He grew up during a time when Libya was still under strong Western influence. Foreign military bases operated on Libyan soil. Oil wealth benefited elites and foreign companies. As a young officer inspired by Egyptian leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, Gaddafi believed the Arab world needed unity and independence. In 1969, at just 27 years old, he led a bloodless military coup while King Idris I was abroad. The monarchy collapsed within hours. Gaddafi announced that Libya would no longer serve foreign interests. Oil would belong to the people. It was the beginning of a new political experiment. Gaddafi rejected traditional political titles. He did not call himself president or king. Instead, he introduced a unique concept, the Jamahiriya, meaning state of the masses. In 1975, he published the Green Book. In it, he rejected capitalism and communism. He dismissed representative democracy, arguing that parliaments and political parties were tools of manipulation. He claimed Libya would be governed directly by the people through local committees. But in reality, power remained centralized. There were no competitive elections, no independent political parties, no free press. The system revolved around him. During the 1970s and 1980s, Libya became one of Africa's wealthiest countries. Oil revenues allowed the government to invest heavily in social programs. Education was free at all levels. Healthcare was free. Fuel prices were extremely low. Utilities were heavily subsidized. Literacy rates rose dramatically compared to the 1960s. By the early 2000s, Libya had one of the highest GDP per capita figures in Africa. The government funded housing projects and offered financial assistance to newly married couples. One of the most ambitious infrastructure projects was the Great Man-Made River, a massive engineering system designed to transport underground water across the desert to coastal cities. Supporters argued that Gaddafi transformed Libya from a poor monarchy into a modern welfare state. At the same time, political freedom was severely limited. Opposition voices were silenced. Dissidents were imprisoned. Criticism of the regime could be dangerous. Libya, under Gaddafi, combined social welfare with strict authoritarian control. On the international stage, Gaddafi positioned himself as an anti-imperialist leader. He supported various revolutionary movements across Africa and the Middle East. Western governments accused him of backing militant groups. In 1986, the United States launched airstrikes on Tripoli.
It was called Operation El Dorado Canyon. The attack on Libya almost 24 hours ago has left many Libyans dead or injured. 2 American Air Force officers and their aircraft still missing. They are the pilot of an F-111, Captain Fernando Ribas Dominici from Puerto Rico, and his weapons officer, the man in the back seat, Captain Paul Lorentz from San Francisco. The attack has had an effect on American-Soviet relations. And today, in a challenge which proved ineffective, the Libyans attempted to hit back. A Libyan motor patrol boat fired 2 missiles at an American Coast Guard installation here on the Italian island of Lampedusa, about 175 miles north of the Libyan coast. There was no damage and no American casualties. Tonight, the Libyans thought they were under attack again. It wasn't us, said the Reagan administration. But there was a lot of Libyan shooting into the dark night sky. Here's ABC's Charles Glass in Tripoli.
A second night of firing into the sky above Tripoli. If there were planes overhead, the Libyan anti-aircraft batteries clearly didn't bring them down. If there were not, it may be just a case of nerves among an increasingly worried Libyan population. Most of the Libyans were terrified during last night's heavy bombing raid. Last night's 2 a.m. air raid took the sleepy capital completely by surprise. Colonel Gaddafi himself was reportedly unharmed, and to prove the point, Libyan television showed footage of the leader apparently meeting with officials today. Among last night's casualties, 3 of the children of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Pediatricians said his 15-month-old adopted daughter Hanna died from the concussion of the bomb which hit Gaddafi's headquarters. Severely wounded were his 2 sons, 3-year-old Khamis and 4-year-old Saif al-Arab. Last night's raid took a heavy toll here. Libyan officials admit the hits on Gaddafi's headquarters and some military installations. But the Ministry of Information took us this morning to see for ourselves what damage had been done to one residential neighborhood. One of the damaged houses was the official residence of the ambassador of Japan. He said the U.S. may have been trying to hit an intelligence bureau in the neighborhood.
In 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland. Libya was blamed. Sanctions followed. For years, Libya faced international isolation. Economic growth slowed. Investment declined. But in the early 2000s, Gaddafi shifted course. He renounced weapons of mass destruction programs. He sought normalization with Western countries. Sanctions were gradually lifted. For a time, Libya re-entered the global community. In 2009, Gaddafi made his first and only appearance at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. It was a dramatic moment. His speech lasted over 90 minutes, far beyond the time limit. He criticized the structure of the Security Council, arguing it favored powerful nations. At one point, he referred to it as a terror council, claiming it protected the interests of a few dominant states rather than ensuring global peace. Reports stated that he tore pages from the UN Charter during the speech. Some diplomats walked out. Others watched in silence. To supporters, it was a bold challenge to global power structures. To critics, it was political theater. But it reinforced his image as a leader unafraid to confront the international order. In 2011, protests swept across North Africa, Tunisia, Egypt, then Libya. Demonstrations began in Benghazi. Gaddafi refused to step down. He vowed to fight.
No demonstration at all in the streets. No one against us. Against me for what? Because I am not president.
But then...
They love me, all my people with me. They love me all.
But if they do love you...
They will die to protect me, my people.
If you say they do love you, then why are they capturing Benghazi and they say they're against you there? Why are they in Zawiya?
It is a guide. It is guide, not my people. It is guide. Guide, yes.
Colonel Gaddafi, the President of the United States, the leaders of Britain and other leaders are calling on you to step down, to leave Libya, to leave your position of power. Will you do that?
Who would leave his homeland? Why do I leave my homeland? Why do I leave Libya?
The situation escalated into civil war. NATO intervened with airstrikes against forces loyal to the regime. The balance of power shifted rapidly. Tripoli fell. On October 20th, 2011, Gaddafi's convoy was attacked near Sirte. He attempted to escape. He was captured by rebel fighters, and shortly after, he was killed. Footage of his final moments spread across the world. A man who ruled for 4 decades died in the chaos of a collapsing state.
Public security, total economic collapse, and a widespread lack of basic supplies. Prices of basic goods are 4 to 5 times higher than those of 5 years ago.
Things are expensive and people have no money in their pockets. Life is real tough, and that's that.
Many places in Tripoli have 5 to 6 hours of power outages every day.
Poor public security, frequent power failures, and cancellation of flights to other countries have strained people's lives. All countries have vacated their embassies in Libya, making it almost impossible for Libyans to apply for foreign visas. Whether there is genuine political change remains in dispute among Libyans. However, they easily agree on one thing: their lives have gotten messier after the revolution.
Many believed Libya would transition toward democracy. Instead, the country descended into fragmentation. Rival governments emerged in different regions. Armed militias competed for influence. Economic stability deteriorated. Libya became politically divided. More than a decade later, the country continues to struggle with instability. This reality fuels ongoing debate. So who was Muammar Gaddafi? A dictator who suppressed dissent and centralized power, or a leader who maintained unity and redistributed oil wealth in a fragile state? Under his rule, Libya experienced decades of centralized control, oil-funded welfare, and relative internal stability. But political freedoms were limited. Power was personalized. His era represents a paradox: stability without democracy, social guarantees without pluralism, independence with isolation. History rarely offers simple answers, and in the case of Gaddafi, the debate remains unresolved. Was his fall the end of tyranny or the beginning of chaos? That question is still shaping Libya's future today.